Hey folks, this is Kelani. One of the first things that was announced at BlizzCon was probably one of the most surprising. I don't think anyone ever expected Blizzard to announce actual, legit, classic WoW servers. The legacy argument has been going on for so long now, and suddenly it makes so much more sense why Blizzard has been more active when it comes to taking down vanilla private servers. So let's have a look at what this actually means going forward. So far, all we know is that one or more classic servers will go live sometime in the future. We have no current time frame for when this could happen, so it could be next year, or we could be waiting on this for a little bit longer. It all depends on how long it takes Blizzard to actually get this up and running to a standard that is acceptable for them. I wouldn't be surprised if there were several delays simply due to the dev teams not wanting a classic server to go live with a whole bunch of bugs, which could honestly be a huge issue. Vanilla wasn't known for its polished, perfect gameplay. There were a lot of bugs here and there, especially when new patches were released. So do we get a server as they actually were, or do we end up with a more polished version? I guess it also depends on how they're going to work on this entire project. If they rely on old code from old servers, or dare I say the code that the old Nostarius team ended up using, they could run into quite a few issues. But if they try and piece things together from the current game or new code, that could take even longer. I'm interested to see how long this would actually take, but at least we have a definitive answer to look forward to. We will get vanilla servers at some point. But I can't help but ask the question, why now? Why not a few years ago? What changed since we were told, you think you do, but you don't? This is a complete 180 of that answer, so something significant must have happened. Maybe they've looked at other games that have done similar things and seen the success of this kind of project. Nostalgia can be a powerful drug, and honestly, it's not always rose-tinted. One of the most successful games that brought back the golden times is RuneScape. Now, most of you probably haven't seen anything about RuneScape since you were 12, or however old you were when RuneScape was the best thing in the world. After relaunching the entire game for the third time, I believe, people cried and screamed for the glory days of 2007 when RuneScape was apparently in its prime. The developers said it can't be done, it won't be done, and to forget about it. You think you do, but you don't. Eventually they did bring back 2007scape, which is now more popular than what it replaced. There is a lot of potential here, and with that in mind, the biggest question I would have would be how will the legacy server be maintained? 2007scape is actively updated, with new content all the time. That's probably why it's so successful. I can't see Blizzard introducing a vanilla server and then adding new patches every few months, separate from the current expansion that we're on. One thing that could happen is for the game to progress as it did back in the day, have the patches unfold at a similar pace as what they did when vanilla was the only World of Warcraft. That could help pace the game so people could actually get to max level and progress through the raids as they would have, a true vanilla experience. They could also time these patch releases or updates with the downtime in the current expansion. That could give people more of a reason to bounce between both types of servers. Again, I don't think anything new would be added to vanilla, but that could make for a special surprise down the line. I'm not too sure how vanilla would hold up to the efficiency and convenience of today's World of Warcraft, but I'm excited to play them side by side in an environment I can actually invest time into. There's nothing worse than wondering when the server you're playing on is going to implode like all the others, and your time has just been wasted entirely. I bet a lot more people would be willing to hop into a vanilla server if they had a guarantee they weren't going to get randomly cut off because the server was actually illegal. So assuming these servers come out and progress through the patches, what happens when we reach the last patch? Do we just kind of leave it there and the players who would rather be frozen in time in vanilla WoW just kind of chill forever? I would imagine the active player numbers would just dwindle and dwindle until no one was left playing except the super hardcore group who never wanted to leave vanilla in the first place. I think even those players would get a little bored if they were left with no one to play with though, but apparently even if only a handful of players were left in the end, the dev team would still be satisfied with the vanilla servers. This isn't a power play, this isn't a cash grab, they're literally just providing us with what we've wanted for a while, and doing it in a way where they can control the quality and prevent the kinds of scams and scandals that usually surround private servers. but I can't help wonder about the potential these servers could hold. I've always been interested in vanilla servers, I just haven't trusted any of the private servers enough to invest time into them. Even though vanilla servers could be amazing, I was more fascinated with the idea of progression legacy servers. Apparently EverQuest did something like this, and it's been quite successful. Essentially, the start wouldn't look any different. We would get vanilla and progress through the patches, but after we hit the last patch, we would then eventually move on to the next expansion. So then we would go through the Burning Crusade and all of its patches, then Wrath of the Lich King, and we would keep going and going until it eventually caught up to the current expansion. At that point it could kind of just join the rest of the servers, but you could also reset this process at any time. It would just take adding a new vanilla server and starting it all over again. I'm not sure if as many people would be excited for any of the other expansions as what they were for vanilla, but it could be a really interesting way of keeping the servers alive while also revisiting every part of the World of Warcraft lifetime, as opposed to just the beginning. Bear in mind that this has been called World of Warcraft Classic. They didn't say vanilla and they didn't use the word legacy. Classic could arguably refer to any number of expansions. The classic Burning Crusade experience, the classic Wrath of the Lich King experience. It may be a little bit of a stretch, but the possibility is definitely there. One of the biggest reasons for this being so delayed and for it to probably take much longer than we thought is that the dev team has said they're a little confused and stuck when it comes to the question of which vanilla is the right vanilla. There are a whole bunch of changes to the lifetime of vanilla World of Warcraft, so they're going to need to tread carefully when they implement certain features and systems. The example given was Upper Blackrock Spire. It was both a 10-player dungeon and a 5-player dungeon in vanilla. So which is the right version? The dev team have said they will be open to community discussion when making these choices, so we might actually get a bigger say in how this all turns out than we usually would. Either way, vanilla servers will eventually be in our hands. I can't wait to see how healthy their population will be or how Blizzard handles the servers as a long-term project. What do you think about the announcement? Are you excited to go back to the old days of vanilla for real? Leave all your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.